10 months before, in February, the Spaniards had trekked from Quito over the massive Andes in search of the land of cinnamon and the fabled riches of El Dorado, the gilded man who, legend held, was daily powdered from head to toe with gold dust, which he would then wash from himself in a lake whose silty bottom was now covered with gold dust and the golden trinkets tossed in as sacrificial offerings. But the golden dream had proved an unspeakable nightmare. Now, staring at his writhing, starving men, Orellana thought only about how he might get them all out of this death trap alive. Getting here had nearly killed them. For months they had hacked their way through the dense Andean forests, the forbidding snow-capped Antisana volcano erupting in the distance, rumbling the earth with great quakes and sending shock waves of fear through the exhausted men as the roofs of the abandoned Indian huts they took shelter in collapsed upon them. On their descent from the mountains, rain slashed the hillsides in horrific torrents, sending the men scurrying to higher ground to escape flash floods and engorging the streams so that the conquistadors were forced to cut timber and construct bridges in order to continue forward. The Spaniards suffered attacks by small bands of Indians at the headwaters of the upper Coca and Napo rivers, and all of their native slaves, porters, and guides either died on the freezing mountain passes or fled during the long nights. The conquistadors had eaten nearly all of the 200 horses they had brought with them, abandoning others in the dense and roadless forests, which proved impassable for the large animals. Eaten, too, were all of the savage mastiffs and wolfhounds trained to terrorize native populations or to take part in battle. Francisco Orellana, his despondent captain Gonzalo Pizarro, and their few hundred mercenary soldiers were lost in an unknown wilderness, slowly starving to death with scant hope for survival. Progress along the river's dank and decaying shoreline was disastrous. Forlorn, they came to understand that somehow the river must be their only hope for salvation. So they built a boat, salvaging iron from the shoes of slain horses to fabricate nails, caulking the craft with cotton ripped from their own garments and blankets, constructing cordage from tree vines. Pizarro, glowering and brooding and violent, tortured some captured Indians for information, learning, between their screams, that perhaps 2 days' travel downriver was a prosperous village boasting large manioc plantations, enough to keep the men alive, at least for a time. Francisco Orellana watched the slow and languid movement of the murky river. The waterway appeared hostile and forbidding and alien to him, but he knew what he must do. In this open boat, dubbed the San Pedro, he would navigate downstream in search of food.